Hello and welcome to In Search of Purpose with Sal Hanvey. Hi, I'm Sal Hanvey and welcome to this week's podcast, In Search of Purpose. This week I have the pleasure to introduce to you Billy Burns. How are you, Billy?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
That's great. Thanks for coming on. Brilliant. What are you up to now today in this lockdown period?
It's actually a day off for me today from training, so pretty quiet. Had a little bit of a line in bed this morning and then just up playing with the dogs and chilling out, really.
So give us a bit of a background to the sort of training that you're doing.
Yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? It's obviously a strange time for everyone. For us at the moment, obviously, it's there's quite a lot of uncertainty in terms of when we'll be back and that. So we've actually been placed on furlough at the moment, which means that as much as we can't do too much work for Ulster, we can still keep ourselves fit and keep ourselves active. So they've sent us some programs to do. We've been given GPSs so that they could still monitor how we're getting on. So there's no hiding from it. But yeah, it's actually probably one of the best bits of the week because it keeps you busy. I've managed to get a bit of a home gym here, which the club have sorted me out with, so I can stay active that way. So yeah, just a little bit of running here and there, and a little bit of fitness keeping me going.
Well, obviously, being a Ulster rugby player, you're so used to engaging with so many people on an ongoing basis, interacting, even training together. So it's obviously, because it's a team, it's a very group-oriented sport. Do you find it difficult, and do you get the motivation to be able to do the stuff at home on your own that you wouldn't necessarily have done just as much of?
It is very tough. I think, like you touched on, you get so used to when you're probably, maybe you wake up a bit tired or you haven't slept well, you can almost feed off other people's energy and you can use their energy to drive you through the day. Whereas when that happens here, it's you on your own and you've got to stay motivated. But like I said, we've actually kept in quite good contact. All the boys, we're doing Zoom calls like this all the time, and we're always checking on each other. We've still got our group that on WhatsApp where we message each other and people are putting in little challenges and stuff like that just to keep people going. So yeah, as much as it is tough to keep yourself motivated, it's also, again, another thing is probably just out of sheer boredom. You don't mind doing a bit because there's not much else to do. So yeah, it is tough. It comes with its own challenges, but I think I'm handling it pretty well at the moment, I think.
So you're not doing any like Zoom training sessions together at this stage yet?
Yeah, no, we are actually. We've it's all optional stuff. We've been given, so our week sort of works on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday training way. And there's optional Pilates classes and there's optional stretching classes and stuff like that. We've been given sort of like our more compulsory sessions, like our fitness sessions and our weightlifting. But yeah, we're quite often catching up on Zoom. There's a couple of times coaches have sent out little rugby clips for us to watch and talk about over these platforms. And I think it's probably, if there is any positives to come from this whole pandemic, is how easy it is to interact over the internet and how much work you can actually do from home, even in an industry like ours, which is very, very hands-on. So yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, and you're obviously not from Northern Ireland. Tell us a bit about your background and where you're from and so on.
Yeah, so I was born in Bath. My family still live in Bath. My brother actually still plays for Bath Rugby in the Premiership. And I went to school in Bath and I left to go to Hartpury College, which is a very well-known college in England, in the Gloucestershire area. I was lucky enough to get a scholarship to go and play rugby there from 16 to 18. And from then I signed for Gloucester, played 7 or 8 years there. I probably should have said at the start, my grandfather's actually Irish, so I had that Irish connection. And then one thing led to another, and Ulster came in and offered me a contract to come over here, and it was an opportunity I couldn't turn down. So I've been over here now this is my second year. Obviously, Jade, my partner's come over with me as well, which is great. And yeah, we've settled in well. We've acquired another dog, which is keeping us on our toes. But yeah, we're enjoying it.
Oh, lovely. And obviously, Bath's so beautiful. And do you get a chance, obviously not at the moment, but to get back home? Much you say that your brother plays as well. So obviously it's genetic and the traits are in the family of the success.
Yeah, well, I've actually got 3 older brothers. Only one other who plays professionally, but they're all they all still live in Bath, and my mum and dad. Probably don't get much as back as what I'd like to, or probably should, just with the nature of our season and stuff. But whenever there is a spare weekend, I try and get back. I think, like you touched on, Bath's a beautiful place, but it's probably not until you leave somewhere like Bath where you fully appreciate how nice it is. So yeah, we try and get back as much as we can. Jade's family live just down the road in Gloucester, which is about an hour away. So if we do go back, we try and sort of get to both areas, and we still have a property in Gloucester, Cheltenham. So yeah, try and get back as much as we can.
Lovely. I used to live in Plymouth and went to uni in Exeter, and it's funny, it was so close to Bath, and everyone who knows me said you would absolutely love Bath.
Yeah,
And it wasn't until I lived there for 5 years, it wasn't until I moved home that I went to Bath, and I've been now 3 or 4 times and
yeah.
absolutely, but it took me to be back.
Everybody always asks me for recommendations of where to go in England for a weekend or whatever, and I always say Bath, and they say, "Oh, you're just saying that because that's where you're from," but it is actually a beautiful place. It's nice to hear that you enjoyed your time there as well.
Oh, I absolutely loved it. So you moved over here 2 years ago then, you and
Yes.
your wife Jade, yeah.
Yeah.
And you've been playing for Ulster Rugby ever since. So tell us a bit about your role in that.
Yeah, so I play fly half for Ulster, which for the non-rugby fans out there listening to this is normally the one who's shouting the most on the pitch and bossing people around. So I've made a living out of doing that. But yeah, I've absolutely loved it. Obviously, from coming from Gloucester to Ulster, it's a different league. We're very lucky in our league that our league's obviously spread a few different countries. We go to play in Scotland, Wales, obviously down south across the border, and we also play Italy and South Africa as well. So there's a lot of travelling in with it, which is a different thing to deal with. But yeah, it's been awesome. Obviously, we play at the Kingspan Stadium here, and the fans are absolutely mental, and I hope they don't mind me saying that. They're always there cheering us on. So it's a great atmosphere, and yeah, I think it came at a really good time for me in my career. I was very happy at Gloucester, but probably a little bit in my comfort zone, and was struggling to probably push on to the next level. And I think sometimes you need to freshen things up to go to that next level. And I feel like I'm certainly on my way there. So I've enjoyed it.
That's brilliant. And the whole Six Nation thing, it's absolutely fantastic. And tell us a bit more about that. Tell us what that involves for you.
Yeah, it was good. Obviously, like I touched on, I as much as I haven't got an Irish accent, I have Irish in the blood. My grandfather was from down south in Dublin, and yeah, I came over here, and I always envisaged trying to play international rugby, and it was, I'm trying to think of what month it was now. It was probably 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah, end of December, January, where I got announced in the Ireland squad, which was a huge achievement. Something that I think I'll probably look back on and be very proud of. I haven't been fortunate enough to play yet. I've been in the squad, but not quite got selected, which is a shame. But it's nice to get that recognition that you're playing well for your club, your province, and hopefully when all this is over and rugby gets back up and running, I can carry on performing well, and hopefully that'll lead into my first cap, which will be a hugely proud day for me and my family. But I know that there's obviously a lot of hard work to go yet to get there.
Well, I'm sure, considering the progress that you've made so far, Billy, I don't underestimate the fact that you probably will achieve it. When it comes to Kingspan itself, now that's down in Ravenhill. I used to live in Ravenhill Gardens, so
very good.
It was so funny because I can remember you've been here a couple of years, so do you practice in Perry Park? Is that where the practice? Yeah. So you know those houses that just like sort of span the park?
Yeah.
I lived in one of those houses.
Oh, really?
Yeah, up
Are they
until
the ones that view onto the pictures and stuff?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And before you would have moved over, it was obviously, I think, up Malone Road, Lady Dixon Park or something near there. King houses.
New Forge, I think it was. They used to.
Yeah, and the grounds that I lived there for 5 years. I moved 2 years ago now, but so it wouldn't have been just before your time coming over. But I can remember it was just a pitch that no one really used, and it was really funny because it was really soggy, and the sogginess used to come into my garden to the point I had to lay down like plastic and then put stones over the top to stop it happening because it was so soggy, the pitch. And they must have spent millions.
Yeah.
There's pipes, and there was all this system that was being put in place, like some kind of like I don't know what the system's called, but it was some kind of water system to make the pitch playable, so that it's basically a marsh ground.
Yeah.
I spent about a year and a half and I was looking out, washing my dishes, just looking at this mound of dirt and filth and black and brown and diggers and trenches and tubes, and
Yeah.
for a year and a half, and I thought this better be worth it. So my
Well,
friends
the
used
pitches are good at the moment anyway. They're very good at the moment.
and my friends used to say, "We're coming. We see whenever this starts, and they're all starting to practice at in your garden, in your extended garden. We're all coming over for a barbecue." And so we had many a barbecue. And I, to be quite honest, anyone who knows me, who's watching this, knows it's not that I'm not a rugby fan. I just don't know much about it, and that's why it's great to get a chat with you today to find out more about it. But
Yeah.
honestly, we would have been sitting in the garden and I had a laugh. You know, it was a good fun, but it was that kind of thing where literally you got to look on, and it was just absolutely brilliant under the Perry Park practice pitch, you know.
That's the stuff of dreams for a kid like myself when I was younger.
Yeah, and I've seen like loads of different. They were all out playing, and you would hear them all, you know, chanting and getting going. And then I would just go out and sit and have a cup of tea many a time, just sit and just watch, just you
Why
know.
not? Why
Yeah,
not?
it was really good fun. But the one-way system that runs around there obviously is to keep everything kind of, you know, going, because it's just going to be so busy. I mean, what's the capacity of Kingspan, do you know?
I think it's. Oh, I should know this. I think I'm going to say it's about 18,000. It seems like a lot more when it's full on a Friday night. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, you've only got. We turn up to the games probably on our general schedules. Probably I get in there a bit early, probably 3 hours before kickoff, and you can already see the road starting to build up and people starting to come in. So it's yeah, it's an awesome place to play, and it's great to have that support, because there's a lot of places that probably don't have as much support as that. So we're very fortunate to have those guys who always come down and support us.
Exactly. And obviously, you know, how many games would you say you've actually played?
For Ulster,
Yeah.
I would have played probably nearly 40, 30, 35, 40 maybe. So
It's in 2 years, which is about 15 or 20 a year, roughly.
yeah, probably. Yeah, I've been fortunate enough, touch wood, not to have too many bad injuries that's kept me out. So yeah, I've played probably 35, 40 times. I mean, it could be 26, and I could be completely wrong, but I think I'm pretty sure that it's a bit higher than that. So.
And what would be the worst sort of an injury you've had, Billy?
Um, I've had a few. I've been lucky that I haven't had to have any operations so far, which is quite a feat for a rugby player at 25. But I broke my collarbone on my shoulder, which was probably one of the most painful things I've done.
Yeah.
And then the only other really big one was I tore my ligaments in my knee. But fortunately, it was the way that it healed so I didn't have to have an operation. So that kept me out for about 4 months, which was quite tough. It's obviously very tough when you're injured, because you're still in the environment and you feel like you can't offer much to the rest of the team. But it certainly gives you an opportunity to grow different areas of your game. So it's just part and parcel of the job, I guess.
And I mean, when you do start back after having been off for a period of time, do you feel that it's like, you know, a really, really like a struggle getting back into it, or do you just sort of like riding a bike?
I think it's there's certain areas that the skills and stuff like that. I think it's that doesn't leave you very, very easily. Like, we're obviously doing little bits at home as much as you can to keep yourself on top of it. I think the biggest thing is just getting your body ready for those contacts again, because it's obviously a very physical sport. Excuse me. And I think you've got to almost get your body hardened and ready for that. And I think if I had a phone call now saying you're playing a game tomorrow against Leinster, I think you'd probably struggle, because your body builds up a resilience to take in bangs and hits on your shoulders and all that sort of thing. So we've had now, I've lost track of time, but a couple of months without any games. And I think that's probably the only bit that really you need to get a good 3 or 4 weeks training before you go into a game. But in terms of the fitness and the skills side of things, I think that comes back pretty quickly. So I'd probably just say the contact area.
Yeah, and you're 25 now, Billy, aren't you?
Yes.
25. So what's the sort of lifespan, career span of your sport?
Uh, if you've done well, you're probably playing till 35, 36. It does depend very much on your position. So my position, I take a lot less contact than what a lot of people would. I don't know if you know, but there's basically rugby teams split down the middle. You've got your forwards and you've got your backs. Your backs are generally the quicker guys who run around trying not to get tackled, and the forwards are the guys who do all the hard work and get smashed up and carry the ball into brick walls for you. So they tend to probably not last quite as long, obviously, with the amount of contact that they take. But for us, yeah, it all depends. Like it's. I was lucky enough that I played just over 100 games for Gloucester in my time there before I came here, which is quite a lot of games to play at a young age. So
Yeah.
again, that might not do me so good come towards the end of my career, but then for someone who maybe hasn't got that many games, who started playing week in, week out at the age of 22, say, they might last a little bit longer. So it's all very much touch and go. But if I could get to 35, 36, I'd probably be very happy.
You'd be very happy. And was it like 13, 14 then you started playing, if you've played 100 games for Gloucester before you moved?
No, so that was professionally. I started at 17, was my first professional game for Gloucester. But then I was just fortunate enough over the years that I left there when I was 23. And over the years that I was there, I was just consistently playing, which was good. I was, again, fortunate I didn't have too many bad injuries. And I was getting a good run of selection in the game. I was in form, which was good. So it was kind of just one of those things. I had my little bit of luck along the way as well, as you need. So yeah, I started at about 17 to 23. I probably got that 100 games, which is a lot of games in that period of time. But
well, I think
I wouldn't have it any the other way.
A little bit of modesty coming in, I think, there when you say that it's luck. I mean, I understand, obviously, you're selected to play for Ulster Rugby, and at the end of the day, if you weren't good enough, you wouldn't have been selected. So obviously there's a serious, considerable amount of talent involved as well. Speaking of talent, who would be your hero in the sport?
In rugby,
yeah,
specifically, it's tough. I've got a lot of players that I used to really enjoy watching. I loved watching a guy called Carlos Spencer when I was younger. He's a New Zealand fly half as well. He just had the character of, he'd make mistakes, he'd try things, but he just brushed it off and moved on to the next thing. Obviously, he had a huge amount of talent as well, but his mindset was just incredible. Like the way that, like I said, he'd bounce back and keep going. So he'd be big. But I loved watching all sports. So I had heroes in all different sports. I'm really into my Formula One racing now, and even at this age, I say I still I look to people like Lewis Hamilton as a hero. Again, I love the way he's just driven by success. He works so hard. He's not everyone's cup of tea, but his willingness to continually get better and learn is great. So I've had a fair few along the way. My older brother would be one, like the one who's professional.
It's not brilliant.
Yeah, he's 4 years older than me, so I sort of got to see him going through the professional environment for me, which gave me a bit of a leg up when I was there, and I knew what to prepare for. So he'd definitely be up there for sure. And like I said, I was fortunate enough to have a fair few.
That's amazing. And when it comes to the Formula One, just touch a bit on that again. You and my partner Jack would just get on the best over that now. He's obsessed. He wants to go to NASCAR. We were wanting to go to NASCAR in September, but it's looking quite unlikely because I have the big 4-0 birthday. I've just told everybody now.
Oh wow.
It's out there in the summer, and we had planned to go to NASCAR in is it Nashville? I think it is. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, and I don't think that's going to happen now, but we really want to. But he actually bought me a Ferrari 911 race car experience.
Oh, okay, wow.
Yeah, down south, and you go into another car to begin with, and then they kind of train you, and then you jump straight into the Ferrari.
Oh, well, that'd be awesome.
Have you ever done nothing like that? No,
I haven't. I'd love to though. I'd love to do something like that. To be fair, I always, whenever it's a birthday party of any me and my brothers, we're always straight up to the go-karting track if we can and get out and have normally ends in a fight because we're all very competitive. But I'd love to do something like that for sure. It'd be a great experience.
Well, I definitely will whenever the lockdown's over.
Yeah.
No question. And Speaking of the lockdown, how are you managing with, you're obviously getting communication with regards, going back to work whenever that may be. What does the future hold, do you think, for rugby with regards to how this is going to happen? Because, like, I don't know much about rugby, but what I do know is that it's a very social contact sport. So social distancing is not something that's going to happen very easily.
Yeah, I think, if I'm going to be completely honest about it, is we know no more than what the media are reporting. Obviously, we get told little bits from our head coach that potentially might be happening. In terms of what I envisage the future to look like, I think it's going to be a little while until we're back playing games. I just don't see how it's going to be safe to play a contact sport until there's either a vaccine or whatever. But I don't want to go too much into the science because I'm not clever enough for that sort of thing. But I just think, like you said, for us, our training days we're in very close proximity of each other all the time. As you said, it's a contact sport. You take the contact out of our sport, it's a different game from rugby. It's not the same game. So, and then you've also got to look at it in terms of people coming to watch. We've touched on when the Kingsman's sold out on a Friday night, and you get that massive group of people together. It's just about making sure that not only players are safe, but fans are safe and all that. So I think it's going to be a little while away. Again, that's just my opinion. I don't know that for a fact. Like I read on the news this morning about certain teams going back to football in Germany and that sort of thing. So hopefully there is a light at the end of the tunnel. But yeah, it's sort of just a waiting game at the moment. I think we're all just sitting here twiddling our thumbs, waiting for something to happen. But I also think it's key to put things into perspective. Like, as much as I'm missing rugby and everyone there's people fighting a lot bigger battles in the world at the moment, and it's all about everybody just being healthy and staying safe. And when it's right to be back, I'm sure we'll get back out there and it'll be enjoyed by everyone.
It is a shame, though, in the sense that sport is something that's universally recognised and shared by so many people, and it's one of the biggest hits with regards to entertainment that's been missed, especially in these months. I know September really is the start of your season, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But obviously tennis and football and so on, and even that last game. My mum is a massive Man United fan, and she watched the game where there was nobody in the crowd.
Yeah.
Said it was the most surreal thing because,
Yeah.
as you say, like, the crowd, when you're like training, everyone G's each other on. When you're playing home, obviously the crowd's G'ing you on. To have nobody from any side at all, with no atmosphere, is massively going to contribute an impact on your ability to achieve and to win.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've definitely got to prepare for. I think it's inevitable that to get sport back on tellies, it's probably going to take games with no crowds like football has done. Like, I think, but if you're asking me whether I'd do that and play a month before or wait an extra month and play with crowds, I'd rather play a month early any day of the week. So, as much as the crowds are huge, like you said, it's a huge bonus for you. I think it's all about now just if we can get sport back on telly so people, I think it's not just the enjoyment side, but I think it actually helps people's mental health as well. It's almost a getaway. People watch it. It gives them a chance to, like, I've been watching Formula One races every day from 10 years ago, and trying to watch races from as far back as possible, just to not know what the result was, just so I can get that fix of adrenaline and enjoy it as much as I can. But
exactly, a fix of adrenaline, exactly, and it's a morale booster for people, and people can, it's about sharing in something. And I suppose at the moment, with the way things are with the COVID, it's very difficult to have any sharing of anything that's not remote.
Definitely.
Everything's remote, and people haven't got that ability to be able to share in that way. And it's funny when something like that's taken away, how much we take it for granted. It's not that we became complacent with it, it's just it became so fundamental in our lives every day. And you're at the peak of your career doing what you absolutely love, and you just have to look at it, I suppose, as just a little break.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I think that the other way to look at it as well is, especially for us in our sport, but there's a lot of athletes who play with niggles and little injuries and stuff, whereas this is a time that, fingers crossed, we'll never experience again. But it's actually an opportunity for us to take a step back and sort of recuperate, get your body back to fighting fit, and you can flip it on its head and use it as a positive in that way. So as much as there's loads of negatives, there can be positives that can take out of it as well.
Yeah, because I suppose there's a minimum amount of time if someone, snaps their cruciate ligament. I mean, what sort of time are you off for that? 3-4 months?
Yeah, I mean, the injuries are like we had a young guy in our team who ruptured his kneecap completely, pretty much, and that was 9 months. So like he's losing effectively a whole season. So even this time now, for someone like him, he can get his body back right and hopefully firing fit, so he'll be ready when we come back.
Yeah, and as well as that, I suppose, it's that kind of thing where all the different injuries, as you say, it takes time, and then we'll get proper healing to the point where their performance level will probably be better due to that.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well is in the rugby environment, obviously professional sportsmen and sportswomen are generally paid well for what they do, and if you get injured, it's all about, right, how can we get them back as quickly as we can to get them back in the team or back in the squad. And sometimes I think it's probably looked over how you just need to rest and just relax for a little while and put your feet up. And I think there's a lot of us who are definitely taking this time now to really maximize that, because like I said, sometimes you can get caught up in a bit of a roller coaster of constantly doing things when really all your body's crying out for is just to chill out and relax.
And to relax and to rest and to reflect and recoup. Absolutely.
Exactly, yeah.
But you've been busy in other ways, haven't you? You've got some good news.
Yes, yeah, we're expecting a wee one in the not so distant future. My partner Jade is now 36 weeks, 37 weeks. I'm going to say the two of them because she's in the room in the room behind me. So yeah, we're not too far away, which is really exciting for us. Obviously, it's a strange old time because obviously it's with everything going on in the world and stuff, it's a little bit of positivity for us. But yeah, we're hugely looking forward to that. So that'll be exciting. And I guess the good thing is when the baby is born, hopefully fit and healthy, that I can spend a good bit of time with her before I go back to work, which would be great.
Exactly, and maybe you'll get a little rugby player out of he or she.
Yeah. Well, we're actually having a little girl. We found out we couldn't deal with waiting. We're both very impatient, but yeah, we're hugely excited. So yeah, fingers crossed. Like I said, it all goes smoothly, and we're back here in no time with a little girl with us.
It's so lovely. And just before we go, Belly, it's lovely to have a chat with you, because there's going to be so many people who, because they're not, people would like to hear what you have to say anyway, I'd say, but because of the situation with the whole COVID, it's very, very difficult. People are very disconnected in a way, and they're maybe only getting sound bites of 30 seconds or little snippets of what people are having to say within the rugby world. And it's really nice to have a proper chat, because people now can actually really hear what it's like from somebody who plays it, what's actually going on, in the real life of somebody who is going through it, and yeah. I think, just the last question I would like to ask before we end the podcast today is, what moment in your career, what was the pinnacle so far to date? What's the best moment that's made you realize that, you love your job so much and this is why you do it?
It's such a tough question, because there's so many highs and so many lows in sport. But I think obviously a massive high was making my professional debut for Gloucester, and then obviously my debut for Ulster over here was huge for me. But there was actually a moment this year where we played Bath in the Champions Cup, and we went back to Bath, and I played against my brother in Bath in front of my family, a lot of friends down there. And I remember arriving to the stadium that morning and just sort of thinking, this is where I used to come as a kid, cheering on my heroes and looking up to people. And it kind of just hit me that for a moment, not that I look at myself as a hero or anything like that, but just that I was out there, and I was potentially giving that opportunity to someone else to watch me and hopefully aspire to do what we do. And whether that's in rugby, whether it's in business, whether it's in a different sport, it doesn't matter. And I think that was a very humbling moment for me. So that would probably be right up there with the high. And we ended up winning the game, which always helps as well. So I can't complain too much.
That's absolutely brilliant. Because I mean, my my podcasts are called In Search of Purpose, and I think under the circumstances, definitely, you've sought out the purpose to do what you do. And it's funny how, when you're building your career and you go away, it almost sometimes takes you to come back to the roots of what drove you there in the first place to do what you do. And it's just lovely. It's just an affirmation, of how you're succeeding. And I think that's brilliant. And, thanks so much again for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. And,
no worries at all.
And good luck with all those sleepless nights that are coming ahead, and the joy, the absolute joy of having your wee baby girl with you. It's going to be brilliant. Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it.
To you all, and good luck with whenever you get back to work. Okay, Billy?
Thank you. All the best. Take care.
Thank you.